had a refinery job there and just got to the point of, you know, you have goals in your life, and if you don't go for it now, what are you waiting for? You know what I mean? So we went ahead and dove into it, and yeah, we love it here. It's Kansas, you know what I mean? Like, unpredictable, but nothing so bad you can't handle it. We're Zach and Sarah Bell with Eagle Hill Ranch. We raise bison, a few cows, sheep, heritage pigs, and seasonally we do meat birds, chickens, turkeys, so on and so forth. But, our goal is to raise clean food for our community that we're proud of, but make it efficient enough to be feasible without a lot of input. So with some things we have definitely a hands-on approach with some things, and others more of a hands-off. Kind of with the bison, we want to let them be bison and do what comes natural to them without relying on us a whole lot. I mean, buffalo, I grew up around them. I kind of, like I said, I'm no expert, but I'm familiar with them, you know. I kind of know what to expect with them, but like with our other animals, you know, researching breeds and different characteristics and faults and traits and all that. I mean, you can almost paralyze yourself by overanalyzing stuff. So at some point, you know, we kind of just dove into it. But like I say, the buffalo are just they're the standard. I mean, they all have their personalities and different traits, obviously too, but they're just awesome. What's up, little one? Hello. Beats driving in there and getting stuck. Come running here for too long. Hi, buffaloes. Hi, Miss Bell. Hi, come here. Come here, you. Oh. So normally, well, I don't say normally, I brought the old tractor over, and I'd much rather put round bales out if I'm going to do it, you know. And I was going to do that yesterday, and my tractor wouldn't start, so. That's how it goes. Oh yeah. Hi, youngins. Mr. T is 4. And if I'm sitting in the truck, he'll come up here about this close and look at me. But I don't try to get close to him. I don't mess with him, you know. He don't mess with me. These other 3 females, this one right here that's Charlie. And then these 2 females are also 4. This latest pair we got I'm not quite sure how old she is. I'm guessing 4 to 5. Just because she looks older to me. I have nothing to base that off of, but it was funny when we turned her and her calf in here just, 2 months ago. Mr. T, it was like, boy, the new girl's here, Y'all leave me alone. Here we go. And he would follow her around like you wouldn't believe. And then the others would follow him. So it was just it was funny. I mean, they went and disappeared up in the back end of the pasture for a good week. I mean, I'd drive around and they'd always be up there. But, which is good. I like that. I mean, I like seeing how they relate to each other, They obviously have their pecking orders, and just like any livestock.
Why buffalo?
Why buffalo?
Why not?
Yeah, why not?
We were set up for it.
Yeah. My family raised buffalo from the time I was pretty small up until about 10 years ago, and grew up around them, grew up eating it. Freezer was always full, and then when my family got out of it, the ground was still there, not really being used. The pins were there if we need them. The fence, nothing fancy, 5-foot barbed wire, but it kept a herd in for 20 some years. So, like Sarah said, we were set up for it, and I was looking into all these other different types of animals to get, and we're kind of diving in, and Sarah kept saying, well, we need to get buffalo again. And we'd talk about it and then wouldn't do anything, and then so as some time went on, and we started building this place, and it really just became more apparent that it was a no-brainer to get buffalo again. And I had really not been involved in the management side of things as a kid, and growing up with my dad, my uncles, and their herd. But once we got ours, we started small, four yearling heifers and a yearling bull, and I was really sort of reminded, but really it kind of blew my mind how easy buffalo are to keep in the right situation, right? And right now we've got 13 animals on 80 acres. So to some people that might sound like too much, or to some it might sound like not enough. But bison, the way they graze, the whole management intensive grazing of cows is really based off mimicking what bison naturally do, and other animals like them. So really, we don't cross fence our 80 acres. We just let them be, and like we talked about, you find one, you find them all. I mean, they really don't spread out that much. They graze one spot and they move on. And in a pasture that small, they do have their favorite spots that they kind of beat down. So you got to watch that. And I try to, when I do feed hay, try to scatter it around. I don't just pick a corner and continually dump hay in the same spot, right?
So you guys seem like you're taking a more of a natural approach to things. Tell us why. Why is the approach that way, and why is it better?
One thing that I saw a few years ago that was just like, wow, they really do that, was we were going over to look at them, and they were literally all lined up next to each other, grazing, walking slowly forward, grazing. And it was just like
Side by side in a line.
Side by side in a line. And it was just like, wow. Like, what's the point? Rotational grazing for other animals is great, but why do that with buffalo? It has been done with buffalo. And we've talked about that. But when I saw that, I was just like, why?
mess with them?
Yeah, what's so I
Well, that's our approach. I mean, exactly what you're saying. They do naturally. They thrive here, and
yeah.
this place thrived as a whole. I mean, this whole Flint Hills region thrived as a whole,
Well,
and
it's the
still
ecosystem.
is in a lot of it. But when you had these giant roving herds, and they would completely wreck stuff when they were coming through. I mean, they had to have, right? With there's great numbers, but then they wouldn't touch it for a year or two, maybe. I mean, who knows? And so that rest period is so important. And like Sarah said, you watch these animals in their natural environment, and they do what their instincts tell them to do. And to me, I have no reason to mess with that. At least in our situation. I'm not saying that it wouldn't be. I think it would be a fun experiment to move them around, like we do the sheep and cows. Just because you can manipulate your forage to reach certain goals with that, depending on what your goals are, obviously.
Are your buffalo mean?
Mean?
Are they mean? No, is the simple answer.
Yeah.
If you go messing with them, they'll kick your butt just like anything else. But no, there's
had any problems.
no. I mean, we have a very small herd, but individual wise, we don't have any aggressive animals that are noticeably aggressive. They can be aggressive towards each other.
Do you approach them differently than you would cattle or sheep or pigs?
Definitely.
Yeah, more cautious.
You definitely have to have a healthy respect for them. Just like with a beef bull or a big ram, they have certain instincts that, just like turning your back on them. Might not always be the greatest idea, but no, as far as being aggressive, they don't tear up my truck. They don't come after me. They don't try to break the fence down, or we've never had any jump out. They're a very complicated animal, I think. I think there's a lot more to them than meets the eye. They're so intelligent, and like I said, those instincts they have. I mean, they're all about, how should I put it? They're survivors. I mean, they're looking out for number one, first of all. So as long as you give them what they need, as long as they're not just an aggressive personality individual animal, they have no reason to be aggressive towards you. I mean, and if you don't give them reason to, they're fine.
What about calving? Do you have to go out there and calve them every season, every spring?
No.
No. You see a calf and say, yay!
Yeah, surprise! Happy birthday! Like Sarah said, you'll show up one morning and there's a fresh little brown baby.
What do you do when your buffalo need medical attention?
Well,
You have a corral, or what does it look like?
we do have a pen set up where we kind of have, the wings that come out that are just cattle panels. And then my uncle actually built a pretty gnarly set of pins out of pipe and highway guardrail, with some sorting pins and chutes and a squeeze tub that gets them sorted into the actual squeeze chute head gate. And on this herd, we haven't worked them, haven't ear tagged any of them, just because I've kind of put that off, because to me, to work them is a big stressor on the animal. I mean, you start pinning them up, confining them, they definitely, their personality changes, and they can get aggressive. They start hurting each other. And if a guy has a really nice setup and enough help, you can get it done efficiently, get them in, get them out, and that eliminates a lot of your problems. But in the past, it's gotten sketchy a time or two for them and for us, and so I'm kind of hesitant and procrastinating a little bit on working them. And I know that once I do, I need to work them consistently, whether it's yearly, whatever, just so they're not so foreign to it and it's not such a stress for them. I know some other producers that they work them pretty regularly, and they don't have any issue. Once the buffalo get used to that, it's a whole different ball game.
Sure.
But if you leave them alone for 4 years and then all of a sudden expect everything to go smooth, it's going to be a pretty stressful day, I think. So.
Sure. So what's your goal on this this ranch or your farm? Like, what do you guys envision 5-10 years from now?
Well, right now we have a lot of different things going on, a lot of different types of livestock, and I can see us possibly focusing more on, say the buffalo and maybe the sheep, or sheep and pigs and buffalo, or whatever. Maybe kind of streamlining things, not being so spread out. Like I said, we try to be as efficient as possible with just our daily chores, just because it makes sense. Do things once a day and come back the next day, but set yourself up for success as far as being efficient and keeping those animals happy. And but I can see us, we're about to have a bunch of lambs. We just had quite a few piglets. We're going to have some Devon calves this spring, and then more buffalo calves. So our numbers are going to increase dramatically in the next few months, and so that'll really give us a better idea of what numbers-wise works for us with each type of animal, and how we can, what our most efficient number of each one is, really, because you can definitely bite off more than you can chew. Get yourself in a bind, and that's never fun, no matter what it is. So a few weeks back, I had an open female, 4 years old, that had never calved. We bought her as a yearling, as one of our original group, and it's not the bull, because some of the other females have taken, except for 2 of them. So it was time. She had plenty of chances, but I went ahead and shot her with an arrow instead of a rifle. I've seen it done both ways, and it's pretty, for me anyway, it was pretty obvious which one is less traumatic for all the animals. And with the rifle, depending on where you're going to shoot it, that's a gamble anyway. Trying to shoot them in the head. But so long story short, I stuck her in the vitals with the arrow, and it took her quite a while to go down. My shot was a little far back than what I really wanted it to be. So she kind of kicked when I hit her. She ran about 30 feet. It wasn't very far at all. And just stood there. And you could tell she was labored breathing, And so anyway, after a while she went down. The others didn't pay any attention to her whatsoever until she actually laid over. She had laid down, then finally laid over and was done. And then, boy, the tails came up, and here comes the rest of them. And they'd sniff her. They all kind of gathered around, or most of them. And Mr. T, he comes over there, and he starts kind of bumping her. Started rubbing his chin on her belly real sweetly. It was, I've never seen anything like it. And then he'd take his front legs and just pull on her, like trying to get her up. And then he'd chase the younger bulls away from her. And it was really pretty powerful thing to watch. And all the things like that about bison, I mean, it makes you respect what they are and where they've been, what they've been through as a species. I mean, it's hard to believe when you see those pictures of the piles of skulls and all that stuff. So that enters into why we have them in the first place. I mean, they belong here, and we have this native pasture that, growing up, there was always bison in here, and that's what we ate. And then once they were gone, once my family kind of got out of it, that desire to have them back definitely didn't go away. And obviously we're very small scale, and we're not going to get very much bigger numbers wise, just because we don't have a lot of ground that's fenced halfway properly to contain them. And as you can see, it's basically a 6-strand, 5-foot barbed wire, and they respect it. They don't test it that I know of, at least while I'm around. And our goal is to not feed hay. I want to graze all year round, and that way, like I'm saying, it's just one less input. I don't have to go out there and feed an animal. I don't have to pay to have hay cut. I don't have to go buck bales. I don't have to find a place to store it and then go get bales, take them out there, the whole deal. I mean, it's a lot of work, and it's a lot of diesel fuel and gasoline that you're paying for. I mean, it's just money out of your pocket. And to me, I'd rather pay for even a simple 3 or 4-way cool season annual mix, and like you're saying, drill that into the warm season pasture, into the natives, and that way these animals have so much more forage. Even if it's just 4 acres out of that pasture, it's still that much more hay I don't have to pay for the fuel to go do it and spend the time actually giving it to them. I mean, and that sounds silly to a lot of people, but to me, I'd rather have self-sufficient animals, right? Instead of always standing there waiting for me to come with a bucket or the cake box or whatever. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I'm not, I'm by no means talking trash on anybody. It's just, this is just the way we want to do it. We want to simplify things and honestly save money doing it. Because our end goal is to provide a product that is healthy for you, and if we don't have this crazy amount of input cost, then we don't have to charge $40 a pound for steaks. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not saying give it away, because if it's a better quality, it has to demand a premium. But to me, I want to feed my neighbors. I want to feed
Our community.
our community, exactly.
Anybody in
And
our community.
yeah, I don't want to price people out of that just because I think I should charge more.
Yeah.
And to me, that's what community is about, right? I mean, it's taking care of your people, your neighbors, your community. So that all plays into our management style, and we're just basically getting started. I mean, we're not experts by any means or by any measure, but so far it's working. I mean, and bison are the perfect animal for that management approach, right? When we had half dozen or so last winter, I think I threw 3 square bales out, maybe 4, all winter, because there was enough stockpile. They're still green there. That they didn't, they'd eat it, but they didn't they weren't mobbing my truck when I'd go in there like they hadn't eaten in a week, you know. Beavers, I've just now started finding signs that the beavers are back, which I like having beavers just because they're part of the natural ecosystem, right? I mean, I'm not gonna, if something's supposed to be here, who am I to eliminate it from the ecosystem, right? I mean, they play a part. Things get out of balance, that's one thing. And then I don't shoot coyotes either. I mean, I do if they're close to the chickens or close to the lambs, whatever. But to me, there's no reason to kill something if it's not bothering me. This land was deeded to a guy named Archibald Miller that came from Scotland back in the 1850s, I'm guessing. And then the land was deeded over to him in 1861. And then my great-grandpa, came here when he was 6 years old from England. It was late 1870s, early 1880s. Well, then he grew up and had a successful clothing store, originally it was a men's and boys clothing store in Cottonwood Falls there. And evidently he did well enough for himself that either in the late 20s or early 30s he bought what to me is a bunch of ground, and most of it was from the Miller family. And then ever since it was passed down to my grandparents and then down to my dad and my uncles. And I mean, it's home. We love it. It's so, you can leave home. I moved to Colorado for a while, and that was fun. But coming home, that's when you really know you're at home, is when you come back and you just know it in your heart, you know what I mean? And to me, there's nowhere else I'd rather be.
What are some good resources people can find for buffalo, in your opinion?
Buffalo, Kansas Buffalo Association, the National Bison Association, if you just Google bison producers Kansas, and even the Kansas Buffalo Association has a list of producers on there, and I'm sure, Buffalo guys, we love to talk about what we do and share that knowledge. I mean, I haven't met somebody that raises bison that's not passionate about it and isn't willing to help somebody out that's either interested in raising their own or just wants to learn about them, wants to come look at them, try some, whatever. So I'm sure any of the guys on there would be more than happy to answer any questions. And everybody has their different style, different management style, different goals, different products. But there's a lot more out there than people realize. And which is a good thing. The more bison producers there are, the better it is for all of us. I mean, the better it is for the animal, the better it is for, it's just another protein option that I haven't found somebody that doesn't like it, honestly, that doesn't like buffalo that's cooked well, that's produced in a healthy way, right?
What's your favorite cut of meat?
Oh man, KC strip. This latest buffalo that I processed, I aged it about a week and a half, and pulled the KC strips off, the strip loin, and I left the dry age on some of the steaks and just fried them up in the cast iron with some butter and salt and pepper to about medium rare, and it was one of the best steaks I've ever had. It's just phenomenal. So, great flavor. Yeah, so find us Eagle Hill Ranch on Facebook and Instagram. You can message us. I believe my phone number is on the Facebook page for the ranch. Any questions or if you want to buy any bulk meat in the future, whether it's bison, pork, or lamb. This next year we will be raising more meat chickens and some meat turkeys on pasture. And then we're getting geared up for a fairly small garden, but I'm sure we will have some produce for sale. And this next year we got to replenish our egg laying
Yeah.
chicken population. So, but yeah, we should have quite a variety of things to offer, definitely. Our goal is to sustain ourselves with growing our own food, but also making a living solely from this ranch. And we're basically there. We're right. We're just
Right
that
on the
close.
cusp
Yeah,
of that.
Right. So yeah. I mean, things are going well, and you never know what the future holds. But if we can keep going like we're going, like I say, there's no other place I'd rather be. I'm having the time of my life. So.